To a lot of people, 2015 was Ninjago's golden era, and I can see why. I personally see 2018 as the peak of the show by a landslide, but 2015 was a big year for Ninjago, pushing its medium into more complex, purposeful storytelling as seen with its two crown seasons, Tournament of Elements and Possession. These are two absolutely beloved and fan-favorite story arcs of the show, and it's easy to see why. However, I would be lying if I didn't say that one of these two seasons has received far more, let's just say, attention as of recent than the other. Season 4, subtitled Tournament of Elements, was released in February 2015 and is widely considered one of the most popular Ninjago seasons. If you couldn't tell already though, this video is not about Tournament of Elements, or at least not as a season. I could do a full retrospective, but that's something anyone at any time could provide. I have a far more interesting angle to analyze this season from that I think will help you see how absolutely peak the writing of Ninjago can be when the writers lock the heck in. I'm not talking about a story arc, season, or even a singular character development. I believe that Season 4 contains a perfect episode of television that is completely unmatched by even the high praise this season is held with. And it's not at all the episode you would expect. So what is it? Let's back up a little. Tournament of Elements follows the ninja on Chen's island where a mysterious tournament between elemental masters is happening, as the ninja presume that Zane is located on the island. Over the course of the season, the team slowly learns about Chen's secret plan to turn himself and his Anaconda cultist army into, well, actual Anaconda warriors. And in order to do this, he needs to steal the powers of all the elemental masters, hence the tournament. Okay, you already know this, right? Why the hell am I telling you what this season is about? It's Tournament of Elements. Well, this is another important element, a theme if you will, that centers this entire narrative. It's the idea of all the elemental masters coming together, forming a larger team to ultimately take down oppression and evil. That essentially is what every scene, conversation, and episode should boil down to. The main conflict isn't just stopping Chen from completing the spell and unleashing a legion of Anacondrae, but for the characters to realize that the only way to do that is to stick together and form alliances rather than breaking them. This is so much more ambitious than any thematic device that the previous 3 seasons even attempted. And like I said, there is one episode, one singular 20-minute episode that managed to capture this perfectly while also being amazing in other ways. And that is episode 4, Ninja Roll. I know, probably not what you were expecting. So what makes the episode Ninja Roll so special, huh? This doesn't look like a TikTok or a Rise of the Spinjitzu Master. It doesn't even seem like it's in the top 5 most interesting episodes of this season. That's because I see this episode as a culmination of everything I love and appreciate about Ninjago. And I think after watching this video, you'll have a newfound appreciation for it as well. So what happens in Ninja Roll? Following Jay and Cole's fight from the last episode Versus, the team isn't looking too hot and 2 of their members are already down. Chen, intentionally trying to break up the team so that they can't stop the tournament, decides to pit Lloyd against the Elemental Master form Camille in a game called Thunderblade, which is basically just a relay race. On skates, of course. Before we get into the actual game though, which is the main event, let's look at the setup, because honestly I love this entire episode even outside of the game. And it actually introduces that element of the alliance that's so vital to this season. This episode starts with the fight between Jacob, the Master of Sound, and Skylar, who's obviously the Master of Amber. There's nothing incredibly notable about this fight other than Kai finding out that he's not attracted to his cousin, but there is one line that sets up everything for the home run. Play the clip.
What do you mean he's discontinued the puffy pot sticker? They were my favorite.
Shoot, I think we may have the wrong clip.
Don't worry about them. We aren't here to make friends, just to save ours.
Yes, but your exclusion of others has only made enemies. Beware how you treat those around you, for they will treat you the same.
Oh, that's just perfect. You have an entire season centered around the idea of these elemental masters being persuaded to fight each other, isolate themselves so they can win the prize. But for the ninja, they're obviously chasing something more selfless, right? They're here for Zane. So yeah, they don't care about the tournament, but that makes them more righteous to win. But no, because of Chen's attempt to pit everyone against the ninja mentally, it helps Lord realize that maybe keeping themselves unfavorable to the other competitors isn't a good idea, but we'll get to that in a minute. The next scene mostly follows Cole learning about Chen's secret noodle house dungeon thing, which is pretty messed up when you think about it. But anyways, it's not too important to this episode, and I want to get to the good stuff, so let's move on, shall we? There's also the scene where Nia's trying to infiltrate onto Chen's island, but then the man, the myth, the legend, Derek shows up and steals the show. Obviously, any episode with the Master Brown is automatically a 10 out of 10, but fortunately for us, the writers are also locked in on, the actual story as well, which isn't nearly as exciting as Dareth, but I'll take what I can get. Okay, but here we go. The game is finally introduced, Thunderblade, and the competitors, Lloyd versus Camille. And the cherry on top, everyone gets to pick a side, and to absolutely nobody's surprise, everyone except Kai and Jay decide to play alongside Camille, pretty much instantly. I mean, yeah, what else did they expect after the whole Jay and Cole fiasco? We also get a really good taste of Camille's powers when she disguises herself as Kai to exploit Lloyd's weakness. So like I said, everything in this first half of the episode sets up the dominoes perfectly for the second half to lay them down. And so, does it hold up? Is the Thunderblade sequence actually that peak? I mean, yeah, it's one of my favorite scenes in the show. Lloyd, Kai, and Jay have to face literally everyone else to try to get a higher score in time. So Bricksider, please tell me, why is this scene you speak of so peak? I think there's already an incredible amount of entertainment value when you watch this scene without any thoughts in your head about narrative structure or themes, etc., but it's those storytelling elements that make this sequence as good as it is. Think about all the moving parts that just collide here. First of all, Master Chen is delectable here. He's so good. I used to hate Chen when I was a kid, but it's clear he brought his A game in this episode. I just love the fact that he keeps bragging about how good he is at Thunderblade, when it's so obvious that he's just BSing everything. This guy never accomplished anything. We know that. He just sits around and waits for other people to do his bidding. Ironically, I think that's what I used to hate about him, but now that's arguably his greatest character trait that makes him so interesting compared to other Ninjago villains. The cherry on top is how he gets Klaus to validate everything he says. Like, not only has this guy never done anything himself, he also manages to coerce everyone else around him into giving him validation, even when they're the ones who built his empire for him. Second, having Sensei Garmadon here is also a great touch, and you can definitely feel the beef in the air between him and Klaus. And the moment where he freaking tackles him when he starts to use his magic is peak as well. But then there's what's actually happening in the game. Obviously, Lloyd and the rest of the ninja are completely outmatched here, and it looks pretty unfavorable for them. Kai can't skate for shit, Jay's decent, and Lloyd's got his old back thing. Plus, he can't really control his power because, skates. It's looking bad at this point, like real bad. The stakes are actually incredibly high, not only because of how much of a disadvantage they're at, but we've already seen what would happen if they lose. So what's gonna happen now? Are they gonna have to find a new strategy? Maybe unlock some kind of power? Lose the game and then find another way to stop Chen's schemes? No, Kai just tells Skylar about Chen's plan in a hopeless attempt to maybe get her on their side. But it slowly starts to work. Not just on Skylar, but on every other elemental master. Even Neuro chimes in to explain what happened when he read Klaus's mind, which, I mean, you could have done that earlier if you weren't such a chicken. That's when it hits. This scene just goes sicko mode. With some of the Master's help, he's able to infiltrate the Jungle Raider, which gives him a huge leg up in the race. Kai starts to lock in, everyone's starting to hear about Chen's plan and realizing that maybe there's something more here than just winning, and it's just perfect. 21st century ninjas jamming in the background, Camille is getting her ass kicked, and there's even this random shot of the Jungle Raider just flying in the air that makes no sense whatsoever, and god do I love it. In the last few seconds of the race, an instrumental version of after the blackout kicks in, it's so genuinely peak. The slow-mo kicks in while Lloyd and Camille edge towards the finish line, and who wins? It's Lloyd, because he had the thing, he had the Jade Blade, and that hoe didn't. Oh yeah, there's also this moment which is so criminally underrated.
Oops, I almost forgot.
Look at that. He broke your record.
Like, that is just my secret sauce. Give me a comedic line that also perfectly sums up the character of Chen. Absolute cinema. So, if you couldn't tell already, I love this episode. It's so good. And you probably assume I love Tournament of Elements too, right? Nope. I actually think Season 4 of Ninjago is probably the most overrated season. What? I still like it. I think it's good, but just slightly overhyped. I mean, that's kind of expected. Again, it's probably the fan favorite at this point. To me, nothing after this episode ever reaches the same height. In fact, I would argue that nothing even comes close. To me, the idea of the Elemental Masters coming together and realizing the real enemy is Chen was just way too drawn out. It's a great message and leads to some good drama, but it ends up not being enough just because of how the season is paced. Like, this is episode 4 out of 10. In one episode, they get every remaining Elemental Master on their side. While that makes this episode even better and more climactic, it overall makes the entire season weaker because the next episode is so counterproductive. It just goes back to no one trusting the ninja in the most annoying, simplistic way. It doesn't have any of the dramatic writing that this episode had, and it regresses a lot of what made this episode as good as it was. I know not everyone will agree with this, but this among other issues holds me back from loving this season as much as everyone else. Believe me, I really want to love it as much as you guys do, I just can't. Honestly though, there's just so much more I could say, so we'll leave a pin in this discussion for a future video. All I know is that this episode is basically as perfect as Ninjago can get, and it really solidified the idea of the Elemental Masters coming together to take down the true evil. Dude, it's just so good. Rewatch it if it's been a while, and remember, everyone's opinion is valid, including yours, no matter how controversial you think it is. But that's all for me, folks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one.
From here on out, Karloff, I'm making more than noodles. I'm making trouble. Chen can try his best to split up our team, but he's about to find out what happens when we put ourselves back together.